Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick has said that this will be a political trial, which is why the Attorney General will certainly not be the only person on trial. At the Texas Capitol, the stage is now set. The Texas Senate chamber reconfigured for the impeachment trial of Attorney General Ken Paxton. In the front of the room, where Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick will act as judge, tables are ready for House prosecutors and Paxton's defense team. A witness box has also been built. It's elevated so members of the Senate, who will be the jury in this trial, can get a clear view from their desk. It's a familiar yet strange sight for those who have worked in this lawmaking chamber, like Jerry Patterson.
We are allowing you the right to exercise your constitutional right to self-defense.
Patterson served in the Senate back in the 1990s. He's best known for the concealed carry gun law that he pushed through.
Senator, I know more about this bill than you do.
Then you should know about
Patterson has weathered his share of political storms. What's awaiting the current Senate membership, he admits, is much different.
That's not a task that I would derive any joy from.
Patterson told me he has not spoken to any Senate members about the trial because of the gag order issued by Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. If he could, Patterson offered this advice.
So any opinions they have now, in my view, would be wrong opinions.
There are stacks of motions to read that were filed before the trial. One of the last included a strong statement from a House prosecutor who wrote, "Paxton can run, but he cannot hide."
General Paxton doesn't have to testify, but if you were in one of those chairs, would you want to hear him?
Yes, I would.
The trial that will take place under the Capitol Dome certainly will have some similarities to a trial in a county courthouse. But there are some differences in the rules that have been laid out.
You want this to be a transparent process.
Political analyst Brian Smith with St. Edward's University spoke to me after reviewing the Senate rules for the impeachment trial.
On day one is going to be the most exciting day because that's when we're going to actually learn what is the Attorney General on trial for.
The trial will begin with the reading of the articles of impeachment. Under the rules, Paxton can issue a plea of guilty or not guilty himself or have his attorneys do it for him. If he's a no-show, the trial will still continue, as if he said. Patrick in the rules warned both sides about courtroom antics and political theater. That's been difficult to enforce, considering Paxton's attorneys from the beginning have called the impeachment process a sham and political witch hunt orchestrated by Democrats. Time limits have been set for this trial. Prosecutors and defense each get an hour to make opening statements, and both are limited to a total of 24 hours to present evidence. In cross-examination, witnesses cannot be harassed and time cannot be wasted. Rebuttal evidence gets an hour each. Both sides also get an hour for final arguments. Conviction, according to the rules, is based on a burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
And it's going to be up to those House managers to convince the people in the Senate that that exists.
A rule was made just for Senator Angela Paxton, who is married to the Attorney General. Rule 31 allows her to be seated on the floor, but she cannot vote on anything during the trial. What's the implications of allowing Senator Paxton to be there, even though she can't vote?
The implications of that means that it requires 21 senators to convict as opposed to 20.
There's an interesting dynamic in the rules. Paxton could be impeached, but the Senate could vote to let him run for office again. Is that a surprise?
One of the things about politics is there's always a second chance, and it's up to the Senate to decide if they want to give the Attorney General that chance again. He would, of course, bring all that baggage with him.
Before that question can be asked, Paxton has to beat all the charges. And Patterson, when I spoke to him, indicated the odds may slightly be in the Attorney General's favor.
I think it's up in the air. I mean, we know how one party, we know that the Democrats are going to vote all for impeachment. And so the question becomes, can you get enough Republicans to get to 2/3 of those present?
Ken Paxton is on trial, but do you think all the senators, especially the Republicans, are on trial?
Yeah. The Republicans are not going to be able to cast a vote that makes people happy. I don't care which way they go. There's going to be some people very unhappy. And then there's been some money thrown around and contributions to the lieutenant governor, and indirectly to anybody he wishes to support or oppose. But that, I don't think that makes a big difference. I mean, everybody says, well, it's bought and paid for. I don't think so. This is so high profile. I don't think that whatever money has been contributed to whichever sitting member of the Senate is going to make a difference. This is a very high-profile deal, and there are certain folks that will be very unhappy for a Republican to vote to convict. And this comes the time when you have to do one of those gut checks that you do throughout life, and just do what you think is right and suffer the consequences for whatever choice you make.
A gag order has prevented state lawmakers, including Paxton, from commenting about this trial. But during a political rally in his home county, Paxton did have something to say about the state lawmakers in the House who voted to impeach him. He told his supporters, "Let's clean house." At the state capitol, I'm Rudy Koski, Fox 7 Austin News.